by knowing who you are. When you are clear about your purpose, when you are anchored in your values, there is no need to defend or justify. Authenticity speaks louder than any explanation ever could. Confidence isn't something you argue for, it's something you live. Every time you feel the urge to explain, you hand over a piece of your power, and slowly you forget you were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be aligned with your calling, your life, your work, your actions. They are your explanation. And the right people, the ones meant to walk this journey with you, will see it. They will feel it. The rest, they were never your audience anyway. Freedom begins the moment you stop asking for permission to be yourself. You don't owe the world a defense for dreaming bigger, for choosing differently, for believing in something more. Your rise starts when you let go of the need to be approved and trust the quiet power of self-belief. When you are truly clear about your purpose, something incredible happens. The need to explain yourself begins to disappear. You no longer feel obligated to justify your decisions, your dreams, or the path you are walking. The clarity you carry within you becomes its own force, steady and unmistakable. It communicates something far stronger than any words could. It says, I know who I am, and I know where I'm going. When you lack clarity, everything feels shaky, you second-guess yourself, you seek approval, you over-explain, you want people to understand you because deep down, you are still trying to understand yourself. But when your purpose is clear, when it lives and breathes inside of you, you move differently. You are no longer easily swayed by opinions or doubts because your internal compass is locked in. You stop explaining because you realize you don't need to convince anyone of anything. You are no longer in the business of selling your dreams to people who are never meant to invest in them. Clarity creates a calmness that explanation cannot. It's the calmness of a mountain that doesn't apologize for its height or its presence. It simply stands. In the same way, when you are anchored in your purpose, you stand firm without needing to make noise about it. Your life, your decisions, your energy, they become your statement. People may question you, doubt you, criticize you, but their words do not penetrate. Their misunderstanding does not disturb your peace, because you are not operating for their understanding. You are operating for something much greater. Your mission, your calling, your why. Many people exhaust themselves trying to explain every move, trying to make others comfortable with their evolution. But growth was never meant to be comfortable for everyone. Purpose demands that you keep moving even when others stay behind. Purpose demands that you trust your steps even when the path looks lonely. It demands that you make peace with being misunderstood, because true clarity doesn't need consensus, it creates conviction. And conviction will always carry you further than validation ever could. Every time you pause your journey to explain yourself, you lose momentum. Every time you water down your dreams to make them digestible for others, you betray the very fire that was placed inside you for a reason. The world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs more people who are so clear about why they are here that their presence alone becomes an invitation for others to rise too. Living with clarity means knowing that not everyone is meant to understand you, and that's okay. It means accepting that silence is sometimes more powerful than explanation. It means trusting that the right people will recognize your vision without you having to translate it for them. It means understanding that the people who are truly aligned with you will not need endless explanations to believe in you. They will feel it, they will see it, and they will support it. When you are clear, your energy speaks before your words do. Your decisions reflect your values. Your presence becomes a message in itself. And most importantly, you find peace within yourself. A peace that doesn't fluctuate based on how others perceive you. You rise not when you are understood by all, but when you are understood by yourself. And once you are, explanation becomes unnecessary, and your life becomes your loudest, clearest answer. Confidence is something that cannot be argued into existence. It cannot be manufactured through debates, explanations, or loud declarations. Real confidence is built silently, piece by piece, through action, commitment, and consistency. It is not born from convincing others. It is born from proving things to yourself over and over again until you no longer need external validation to stand firm in who you are. Many people spend their lives trying to argue for their worth. They defend their ideas, their dreams, their identity, hoping to win the approval of others. They believe that if they say the right things, if they position themselves the right way, they will be accepted, respected, and believed. But true confidence doesn't work that way. It isn't awarded by others. It is something that grows within you, often in silence, when no one is watching, when no one is clapping. Confidence is the byproduct of experience. It's the quiet understanding that you have survived, that you have learned, that you have built something inside yourself that no one can take away. It comes from doing hard things, from showing up when it's easier to quit, from keeping promises to yourself when no one else is holding you accountable. Every small step you take, every time you push through fear, you add another brick to the foundation of your confidence. Over time, it becomes unshakable. Not because others say it is, but because you know it is. Arguing for your confidence is a sign that you don't fully trust it yet. It's a sign that you are still waiting for permission to believe in yourself. But permission doesn't come from the outside. Confidence is built the moment you stop trying to be convincing and start committing. It's built when you do the work, take the risks, face the failures, and keep going anyway. It's built when you no longer need applause to validate your worth or agreement to validate your decisions. There's a stillness to real confidence. A person who's confident doesn't have to raise their voice or dominate the room. Their presence speaks before they do. Their certainty is felt, not shouted. It's in the way they carry themselves, the way they listen without insecurity, the way they move without constantly needing to be seen. Real confidence doesn't demand attention. It commands respect by simply existing. You don't argue for confidence, you earn it. You earn it by living through doubt, by making mistakes and growing from them, by walking through storms and coming out stronger. You earn it by trusting yourself when it would be easier to follow the crowd. Every time you choose authenticity over acceptance, every time you choose progress over perfection, you are building the kind of confidence that can never be taken from you. There will always be people who question you. There will always be voices that doubt your path. But the moment you realize that you don't owe anyone an explanation for believing in yourself, you free yourself. You understand that confidence isn't about proving anything to others. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable, resilient, and worthy of the dreams you carry. The most powerful confidence you will ever have is the one that doesn't seek to convince. It simply exists. It exists because you have lived through the doubt, you have fought through the fear, and you have earned the right to stand tall. You didn't win it through arguments. You built it through experience. You built it by showing up for yourself, for your purpose, for your life. Confidence is not spoken into reality. It is built day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. And once it's built, no argument in the world can take it away from you. One of the hardest but most freeing truths you will ever learn is that not everyone is meant to understand you. No matter how pure your intentions are, no matter how passionate your dreams are, or how carefully you choose your words, some people simply will not get it. And that's not a sign that you're wrong or broken. It's simply a sign that your path is unique. And uniqueness is rarely understood at first. We grow up conditioned to believe that being understood equals being accepted. We think that if we explain ourselves enough, if we present ourselves perfectly, we will be welcomed, celebrated, loved. But the reality is, trying to be understood by everyone is a trap. It pulls you away from yourself. It forces you to dilute your truth just to fit into the small spaces others are comfortable with. In chasing universal acceptance, you lose the very thing that makes you irreplaceable, your authenticity. The truth is, not everyone is meant to walk beside you. Not everyone is capable of seeing what you see, feeling what you feel, believing in what you believe. Some people are wired differently. Some people are on different timelines. Some are too caught up in their own fear to recognize courage when they see it in you. And that's okay. It's not your job to shrink your dreams down to a size they can understand. It's not your mission to slow your growth so others feel comfortable. Your responsibility is to stay true to who you are, even when others don't understand, especially when they don't. At first, it stings. Being misunderstood can feel like rejection. It can feel isolating. It makes you question yourself, makes you want to second guess your intuition, makes you want to explain yourself just one more time, hoping they'll finally see what you see. But over time, if you keep walking your path, you realize something beautiful. Understanding from others is a gift, not a requirement. Approval is optional. Alignment is rare and precious, but it cannot be forced. When you stop needing everyone to understand you, you start attracting the people who naturally do. You begin to find your real tribe. The ones who don't need lengthy explanations to believe in you. They feel your spirit. They recognize your passion. They see your soul without you having to put it on display. These connections are worth more than 1,000 surface-level approvals. They are real, and they are earned through your authenticity. It takes courage to keep moving when you feel unseen. It takes faith to keep speaking your truth when the room falls silent. But understand this, every visionary was misunderstood before they were celebrated. Every leader was doubted before they were respected. Every soul who dared to live differently walked through seasons of loneliness before they found their true community. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey because your journey was never about them. It was about you becoming who you were always meant to be. It was about you living a life so honest, so true, that even if no one else applauded, you would still be proud. You do not need the world's understanding to validate your existence. You do not need their applause to keep building what only you can see. You need only to trust that your path is yours for a reason. Walk it boldly. Speak your truth calmly. Move forward without bitterness, without anger. Bless the ones who misunderstand you and keep rising anyway. In the end, the ones who were meant to understand you will, and the ones who weren't, they were never meant to define you in the first place. At some point, you realize that words can only go so far. You can talk about your plans, your dreams, your character, your loyalty, but at the end of the day, none of it matters if your actions don't match your words. Your actions are and always will be your best explanation. They speak on your behalf in ways words never could. They reveal what you truly believe, what you truly value, and how committed you really are. People may doubt your promises, question your intentions, or misunderstand your vision. And it can be tempting to want to explain, to defend, to argue. But explanations wear thin. Words can be twisted, forgotten, ignored. Actions, though. Actions leave an imprint. They leave a trail that even the loudest critic cannot erase. What you do consistently over time will tell the real story of who you are. You don't have to convince anyone of your dreams when they can see you working toward them every single day. You don't have to defend your character when your life consistently reflects your integrity. You don't have to justify your values when your decisions make them obvious. Your commitment, your resilience, your persistence, these are the loudest explanations you will ever give. And the best part is, the people who are meant to understand you will recognize the truth without you having to spell it out. In a world full of noise, opinions, and endless talking, action cuts through the fog. It is the clearest, sharpest form of communication. It says, this is who I am, without shouting. It says, this is what I believe in, without needing a debate. When you act with purpose, you don't need to ask people to believe in you. People can argue with your words, they can dismiss your speeches, they can ignore your explanations, but they cannot argue with results. They cannot argue with the quiet, powerful truth that is built over time through action. A dream defended with words sounds like hope. A dream defended with action looks like certainty. The mistake many people make is thinking that being understood is about saying the right thing at the right time. But real understanding is earned by being consistent, by staying true to the path even when no one is clapping, even when no one sees the sacrifices being made behind the scenes. Your true explanation, your true proof, is built brick by brick in the dark, long before the spotlight ever finds you. Let people misunderstand you. Let them question you. Let them whisper about what they think you're doing. Your job is not to chase after every rumor, every doubt, every misinterpretation. Your job is to keep building, to keep showing up, to let your actions write a story so clear, so undeniable that no amount of misunderstanding can cloud it. Patience is part of it. Growth is quiet at first. Victory is invisible for a long time. But if you stay focused on action instead of explanation, you will look back and realize you didn't have to convince anyone. You just had to become undeniable. In the end, you don't rise because you talk louder. You rise because you build something real, something solid that speaks louder than any words ever could. Your life becomes your message. Your actions become your legacy. And your journey, lived fully and fearlessly, becomes the clearest explanation of who you are. There is a kind of freedom that most people will never taste because they are too busy chasing approval. They measure their worth by how many people clap for them, how many people like them, how many people understand them. They live in a cage built by expectations, moving carefully within the limits others have set for them. But the truth is simple and uncomfortable. Real freedom begins the moment you stop seeking approval. It begins the moment you realize you don't need anyone's permission to live your life fully. Approval feels good. It's human to want it. We all want to be accepted, to be seen, to be loved, but when approval becomes your fuel, you lose yourself without even noticing. You make decisions not based on what's true for you, but based on what will make others nod their heads. You say yes when your soul is screaming no. You stay silent when your heart is begging you to speak. You build a life that looks good from the outside, but feels hollow inside. The deepest kind of betrayal is not what others do to you, it's what you do to yourself when you silence your truth just to be liked. You trade authenticity for applause. You trade purpose for popularity. You forget who you are because you're too busy trying to be who you think they want you to be. But there's a moment, a beautiful, powerful moment, when something inside you wakes up, when the cost of seeking approval becomes too high, when the discomfort of staying small finally outweighs the fear of standing tall. And in that moment, you realize that you don't need to be understood to be real. You don't need to be accepted to be worthy. You don't need to be liked to be free. Freedom begins where approval ends. It begins when you decide that living your truth is more important than fitting into their expectations. It begins when you stop asking, will they like this? And start asking, is this true to me? It begins when you trust that your value doesn't decrease because someone else can't see it. Approval is conditional. It changes with trends, with moods, with misunderstandings. Freedom, though, real freedom, is unconditional. It is rooted deep within you. It is the knowing that even if no one claps, even if no one gets it, even if you stand alone, you are still enough. You are still whole. Living for approval is exhausting because the finish line keeps moving. Freedom, on the other hand, brings peace. It allows you to move from a different place, from conviction instead of fear, from love instead of insecurity, from vision instead of validation. But it doesn't mean you won't ever be misunderstood. It doesn't mean you won't feel the sting of rejection, but it means you will no longer be controlled by it. It means you will no longer shape your life around the unpredictable opinions of others. You will shape it around your truth, your values, your calling. The world doesn't need more people who are good at fitting in. It needs more people who are brave enough to live free, to live honest, to live without apology. People who understand that approval is a cheap substitute for real fulfillment. People who realize that the real reward is not being liked by everyone, but being at peace with themselves. Freedom is not found in convincing the world to love you. Freedom is found in loving yourself enough to keep going whether they do or not. And once you find that freedom, you realize you never needed their approval after all. Growth is never comfortable, and it's rarely clean. It requires something that very few people are willing to give up: the need to defend themselves at every turn. Defensiveness feels natural. It's our shield against judgment, against feeling wrong, against the sting of criticism. But the very instinct to defend keeps us stuck. It locks us in the person we already are, instead of allowing us to become the person we are meant to be. When you are defensive, you are not listening to understand, you are listening to react. You are more concerned with protecting your ego than with evolving. You close yourself off to feedback, to new perspectives, to lessons that could elevate you. You stay trapped inside the version of yourself that feels safest. But growth doesn't happen in safety. It happens when you're willing to admit you don't know everything. It happens when you're willing to let others challenge you without taking it as a personal attack. The truth is, if you are always busy defending yourself, you are not building yourself. You are not allowing life to shape you, teach you, refine you. Every moment you spend trying to protect your pride is a moment you could have spent expanding your capacity, deepening your wisdom, and strengthening your character. Letting go of defensiveness doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It doesn't mean agreeing with every opinion or accepting every criticism. It simply means you are strong enough to listen without immediately putting up walls. It means you are secure enough to ask yourself, is there something true here, something I can learn, something I can use? Instead of, how can I prove them wrong? Growth demands humility. It demands that you prioritize progress over pride. It demands that you value learning more than you value appearing flawless. When you let go of defensiveness, you start to see feedback differently. You stop seeing it as an attack and start seeing it as information. You start welcoming the hard conversations. You start inviting the uncomfortable truths, because you realize that every uncomfortable moment you survive makes you stronger, wiser, and more capable. The people who grow the fastest are not the ones who always have the right answers. They are the ones who have the right attitude. An attitude of curiosity instead of combativeness. They are the ones who lean into discomfort instead of backing away from it. They're the ones who would rather be better than just look better. You cannot be both defensive and transformational at the same time. One keeps you stuck in the old version of yourself, the other propels you into your next level. You have to choose. Growth demands that you loosen your grip on being right, on being perfect, on being untouchable. It asks you to be bold enough to be vulnerable, to admit when you're wrong, to see mistakes not as proof of your failure, but as proof of your effort. The irony is, the more you let go of defensiveness, the stronger you actually become. You stop fearing mistakes. You stop fearing judgment. You stop fearing the moments when you fall short, because you understand that falling short is part of climbing higher. You gain a quiet confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust yourself to figure it out along the way. Growth demands that you trade your armor for openness, that you trade your need to be right for your desire to be real, that you step into every challenge not with your fists clenched, but with your hands open, ready to build, ready to learn, ready to rise. And once you do that, you realize you were never protecting yourself by being defensive. You were only delaying your greatness.